Welcome back to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, or welcome if it's your first time watching. The sanctuary for soul-led women, healers, mamas, visionaries, and leaders who are ready to rise fully in their light. Every episode here is medicine, joy, healing, and truth that will change how you see yourself forever. That's my intention anyway. Here, we explore what it means to remember who we are beyond the roles, the noise, and the expectations, because coming home to you is not a destination, it's a devotion. It's about progress, not perfection, and each episode is a step on that journey, a chance to truly reconnect with our true selves and embrace that unique path that unfolds before us. And now, before we dive in, let's begin as we always do, sisters, with our sacred breath. That moment to come together as one in one heart. So now, take a moment to soften your shoulders, drop them down, fully arrive here now. Inhale deeply through your nose, allowing that light to fill your body. Hold it at the top for 5 counts. And as you exhale slowly for 8 counts, releasing that no longer serves you, the heaviness that's weighing you down. Again, take one breath in together as one, really feeling our hearts connect across space and time. Breathing out, anchoring ourselves into love, into truth and remembrance. And now here, I want you to pause for a joy spark moment of gratitude. So place your hand on your heart and call to mind one thing that you're grateful for in this moment. Really feel that gratitude expand through your chest, glowing and growing. And imagine it ripple out to this circle of sisters listening now and in the future. And in this space, I want you to set your intention for today. How do you want to be received, be held, show up, be seen? Mm. And here in this circle of one heart and one breath, we begin. Welcome again. Today, I am so deeply honored to welcome to the Sparkcast Mayan Tran, a visionary love and relationship mentor, co-founder of Your Epic Love, and a radiant example of what it means to transform pain into purpose and love into legacy. After navigating the heartbreak of divorce and walking through a profound journey of personal healing, Mayan discovered that love isn't something we chase. It's something we become. She teaches you that you don't attract love through effort, but through energy, by shifting what you believe and how you feel and what you allow yourself to receive. Through her work, Mayan helps high-achieving women to release old patterns, embody their truth, and co-create relationships rooted in passion, purpose, and alignment. Her message is both simple and revolutionary. When you when you're aligned with your energy, your love becomes inevitable. Or when your energy is aligned, I should say, your love becomes inevitable. So please help me welcome Mayan to the Sparkcast.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Margarita, for having me.
It's truly a blessing to have you again and to have our one-on-one chance to really go deep on your journey. And we all had that moment, that deep-rooted start where you reclaim your true identity and who you are. So before everything you're creating now, there was a moment when life invited you to return to yourself, to remember who you truly are beneath the stories, the heartbreak, and the expectations. So can you take us back to that season of your life and share what coming home to yourself first looked like and felt like for you?
Yeah. Gosh, I was thinking about this before we hopped on. And Well, first of all, I love this conversation that this container, this space that you're creating and have created. And congrats on 7 different channels that your podcast is now being broadcasted on. That is so exciting. And having this space for us to, women like me to share, because that's actually a part of my story was I heard someone else share their journey of how they broke through limitations, and it really inspired me of like, oh my gosh, I can do that too. And so that came, it's been probably like over 12 years now when my awakening, I guess, my homecoming happened. And at that time, I was probably from the outside looking in, like living a pretty good life, right? Like I had the house, the marriage, the career, the finances, like the health, everything was going really great. And at the same time, like something on the inside just didn't feel right. It felt like I was doing all the right things, but it felt empty. It didn't feel like I was actually creating meaningful legacy or doing meaningful work with my life. And I just knew there was something more within me. So I follow that nudge. I remember seeing my manager. I was working in corporate at the time, and climbing the ladder and seeing my manager do that. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, I don't want my life to be like that. But yet, what else can I do? Right. And so that kind of put me on a journey of self-discovery, like, okay, if I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, then what else can I do? And I started taking a bunch of different classes, and eventually, it led me to creating an accidental business in feng shui and then seeing that all my clients were single women who wanted support and help to attract relationships, and then recognizing that, oh my gosh, when we looked at their spaces, their homes had like subconsciously, unknowingly been designed to reflect that they were single. So that kind of set me off on this career path. But even before that, I'll take you back a little bit. I I had this big moment where I realized that I was living from a story, and that story was what was shaping my entire life. And I didn't even realize that had happened. And that story was really simple. It was that I was unworthy. So I had, growing up, I would hear stories where my parents would tell me that they wish they had a boy. I had an older sister, and they wish that, they had a boy, and they tried and they couldn't have a boy. And so I grew up thinking and telling people, like, I remember my aunt asked me, I was probably like 5 at the time. She was like, are you a boy or are you a girl? And I was like, I'm a boy. And I
Oh,
really
wow.
took on this identity that I needed to be a boy, right? And I didn't realize I was doing it, but it was subconsciously, I think that I took that story on, like, oh, in order to fit in order to be loved, like I needed to be what my parents wanted me to be, even though I was born a girl, right? And in addition to that, I heard stories growing up that my mom had postpartum depression after having me. And so she had a hard time taking care of both my sister and I. And so I got sent to live with a nanny and as a baby. And they would tell me stories like, yeah, when we would come visit you, like you wouldn't even know who we were. So you would just cry. And growing up, I would hear these stories of, not being connected to my family, to my parents. And it wasn't until I ended up in the hospital that my dad was like, okay, that's enough. Like, we need to bring her back. And so
Wow.
you can imagine, I really unknowingly, again, right, like created this story for myself that if I were to, I needed to be obedient, I needed to be the good girl, I needed to be the achiever and do everything right in order to gain love, to fit in with my family. And so even as an adult, like I had done so many of those different things, and I didn't even, such as, choosing my major was like, oh, it's because my parents wanted me to go into IT, or, staying to live near where I grew up. It was because that's what my parents wanted, right? And so these were all driven by this old fear and really this patterning, this subconscious belief that I wasn't worthy of having my own choice. And so what actually cracked that open was my first personal development training, and it was Landmark Forum. And I, I
Is it
remember,
landmark?
Yeah, I took it because a friend of mine kept, and she is a dear sister of mine, Joni. She kept bugging me and inviting me to go take this landmark forum. I'm like, what is this thing? I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna enroll anything, and I'm just gonna go so that she would stop asking. And so I went, and there was this moment where there were speakers, students that came up and shared their testimonial of what the Landmark Forum did for them, right? And so this one woman talked about how because she went through the program, she then had the courage. She was able to actually leave her current career, and now she's doing something different. She was like, oh, so I was like, that's what I want to do. And so I went through the forum, and the the training really helped me see that old belief that I didn't even know was that I had been operating my entire life, right? And looking back, I can see, oh yeah, wow, all my decisions, like I mentioned, the college and where I live, the city that I live, like everything was designed to keep me safe, not truly what I wanted. And so for the first time, I realized, huh, if that's not the truth, if I can actually break through that and honor my own desires, what kind of life can I create for myself? What can I live? And ultimately, like, what do I actually want? And so then I started making choices from that space rather than from fear. And eventually I was able to leave my corporate career of 16 years and really follow this deeper calling that I had in my heart. And so, now I help women do what I had to like figure out for myself and that journey for myself, which is figure out what those old stories are, heal them so that they can come home to themselves the way that I had come home to myself as well.
I love how you ended that, because it is really, I think, the number one. You don't know what you don't know. And that's what I heard you say. And that's one
Mhm.
of the big things that the landmark shares too.
Yeah.
Like it tells you, like, here are the things you know, and the things you don't know. And did you
Yeah.
know that there's things you don't know you didn't know? And so I think that that's, I didn't really know what that meant until I really walked through leadership myself. And I
Mhm.
did forum, interestingly enough, in my early 20s. And it took me going through it again now in my 40s to
Mhm.
really, because it was really, for me, I was more grounded in the vision of the importance and urgency
Mhm.
of how up until now the the results in my life were not what I felt I was made for.
Mhm.
So thank you for really just saying it so beautifully and taking us on that journey, but like at the end, like really you just grounded in the truth of the what it is. It's like
Mhm.
really figuring out what those old stories are and unraveling it and asking yourself, is it true? And come from a place of no judgment and just curiosity and say, I get to reinvent myself in this
Yeah.
moment because that's
Yeah.
who we are as creative beings.
Yeah, exactly.
So beautiful.
And it really did for me, and I don't know for your own journey too. Like for me, it really helped to have someone else guide me because we can't see our own blind spots, right? Like I had been living 30 something years one certain way, thinking life was a specific way. And it wasn't until kind of the veil had been lifted, I was like, oh, wait, that's what I've been seeing the world through. Now I don't have to see it that way. I think, sometimes if we don't, it's hard to have that own awareness for ourselves without the guide of a program or a coach or, somebody else who's been through that process as well.
Yeah, that's a great. That's a great addition. Truly having someone who's going to be that loving interruption for
Yeah.
you and call you forward in your light,
Yeah.
and
And be your mirror.
like your friend. Like I loved her technique. She was just going to be like, I'm just going to keep bugging you because I know eventually you just give in. Because so like
Yeah.
whatever her technique was, she loved you enough that she knew that this was going to change your life, and she
Yeah.
was right.
She took a
And she
stand.
stood for you. She took a stand for you, and that's what it means. And I think when someone does that, it gives us the courage and the foundation to stand for ourselves, and then we start standing for others. It's a ripple
Mhm.
effect, and that's why I love this work so much.
Yeah.
And it comes a time when you have to overcome and reframe those stories that you're talking about. So walk us through that, right? So every awakening comes with resistance. those moments when we want to shrink back or we want to stay in the familiar, because you said it is the false comfort keeping you safe, right? That safeness.
Hmm. Hmm.
What were some of your old patterns or beliefs that you could share with us specifically that you had to release on your journey home, and how did you learn to trust your inner voice again? That
Mm.
that that inner voice, a true inner voice.
Yeah. So some of the ones that I struggle with, and sometimes they creep up too, right? Again, it's like a new layer, new level, new devil, as they say, right? But some of the ones that are really have been strong for me was like I don't have a voice, right? Like my voice doesn't matter. If I choose myself, like I'm going to be abandoned or I'm going to cause trouble. So I don't want to rock the boat. So I'm just going to be, be the peacekeeper. I'll go along. I'm easygoing, right? Like all of these different things. And I think it even probably ties to how my personality developed, right? My older sister is a very like extroverted, loud person, and I'm kind of more the reserved, the quieter type, um, and I think part of that probably growing up, like thinking, oh, my voice doesn't matter, so I'm not going to speak up anyway, right? And so how that showed up I mean, it showed up all over my life. So even I can remember going to school, right, and not like being scared to raise my hand to answer questions, that kind of thing, like be seen. And then even in my relationship, my past marriage, like just going along with whatever my partner wanted because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't think that it was, and the times when I did, it didn't turn out good. It would lead to
Yeah.
arguments or blow ups, right? And so it's like, ooh, I'm just gonna crawl back into my little cave and just zip my lips because it doesn't turn out well. And so I think what really helped me kind of break out of that is just learning to trust myself with small things, with small, consistent choices of, okay, going back to what do I want? Rather than saying yes to everything all the time, what do I actually want? Because my default was, hey, you want to go to this? Okay, yeah. And then later on be like, wait a minute, my calendar is already so full. I'm going to be so tired. Like, I actually just wanted an afternoon to recharge and relax. And then because I committed, right, I'm not going to go back on my word. So then I show up, but then afterwards I'm like resentful and, and angry and frustrated and tired. And it doesn't serve anybody, right? And it was because I didn't live in my truth. Well, most of the time, I didn't even know what my truth was because I had lost the connection to my desires and that I even could have desires. So I think that was the first piece of allowing myself, yes, I can want what I want and I don't have to justify it. And
Mm.
tuning in,
Yes.
yeah, and tuning into what that is and allowing myself to hear that and then expressing it and being okay with other people how they respond because how they respond is their choice, right? And it doesn't have an impact on me. Yes, I'm going to be kind, I'm going to be respectful, and at the same time I really believe that when you live your truth it benefits everybody. Everybody benefits when we speak and live our truth. So
Mm.
these small consistent choices of, okay, do I want to do that, do I want to go there, yes, no, expressing it. And then every time I do that, I'm like, okay, I survived. Nobody died, nobody got hurt, right? We all survived. And so then it became easier and easier to trust myself, to speak my truth, to express these things. And then some of those other big ones, like I had moved from the East Coast to California and it took me 10 years for that dream to be fulfilled because I was married at the time. We had like all our roots were in DC and we had our house, we had our careers like with my ex-husband. And so it was, I mean, moving and California was like my dream. San Francisco specifically was like my dream city. And so I really wanted to move there, but it didn't make logical sense, right? It was like, what just uprooting everything, leaving our family and friends. And I remember every winter I would I would bring this up, I would be like, okay, I can't stand another winter. Like it's really bogging me down, you know? And to the point where it was the 10th time, the 10th year that I had brought this up. And something shifted maybe in the way that I expressed it. But it was like, if, it's been 10 years and it's still like a desire in my heart, like I don't think I can keep doing this, you know? And so we ended up moving, and the agreement was for 2 years. If we don't like it, we can always move back. And we moved out there, and everything, all the pieces fell into place. And it didn't turn out the way that I thought it would because I quickly realized that San Francisco is one of its coldest cities, especially during the summer. And around
Hmm.
3 p.m. every day, the fog that they lovingly name Carl would roll in. And
Carl, I didn't know it had
yeah,
a name. It's
Carl the
funny.
Fog. Yeah. And it even has its own Instagram account. It's so funny. But that created, and that was the time when I would get off work and it was like, I'd go take a walk, and it was so depressing. And so I ended up moving to San Diego, and it was like, oh yeah, this is California
The
living.
California you knew, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so even big choices, big moves like that, right? Like it took courage. It took expressing my needs and really taking a stand for myself and communicating that and being an enroller, like enrolling someone else into the vision of what life can be. So,
That's great. I love um I love how you ended up with the enrollment. Because we're always enrolling. The people are like, "What's that? What do you mean enrolling?" It's like we're always talking people into doing something we want them to do. And half the time, for me, when it came to me, because I think I resonate and relate to everything you've shared so far, I felt like you had some kind of insight on my journal like, did you see my journal? You know, and I saw so much of myself in you, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, me too, me too, me too. Um, and it did get to the point where now it looks selfish when you start doing the self-care and the self-love. And because it is true. It's like, what was it that I used to love to do? And I tap into that inner child because she always remembers. And
Yeah.
so I love how you invited us to enroll those around us. And I think the most important thing is enrolling yourself first. The first step of it
Yes.
is to enroll yourself. And I think when I started enrolling myself, that I was important and I was enough and I mattered to take care of myself,
Mhm.
to reignite those joyful moments of passion and pure joy and revelation has been a beautiful journey. So thank you for reminding that we matter. And when you start to uncover what your desires are, you start to uncover the true identity of who you are.
Yeah. I
And when you
love
start
that
to,
you
yeah, go
I
ahead.
love that you brought up the self-care piece because I think the story of the Magi kind of comes to mind. If you remember that story, that fable of like, there's the guy that sold his watch for his wife. Like he sacrificed his watch for his wife, and yeah, to buy like a hair thing. And she sold her hair, like cut her hair and sold her hair so that she can buy a watch band for his watch. And then they both realized, like, oh, wow, like the thing that we sacrificed for the other person, like they can't even use it because they sacrificed it, right?
Wow, I got chills. Yes.
So it just reminded me real quick of that. It's of like when we when we sacrifice ourselves like for the good of the other person, like yes, it's coming from this intentional heart, and at the same time like we also get to support ourselves and love ourselves, right? Like the way that you when you do self-care, you put set aside time for yourself, like it sparks joy back into your life, and that joy now you have to share with other people, right? It makes your relationship so much brighter, so much more lovely because you're able to tap back into that. And sometimes we think it's like better to sacrifice for other people, but we forget the value that supporting ourselves and filling our own cups can give to other people, right? Love
Mm.
that you brought that up.
Yes. And I liked how you packaged that. It was just so beautiful. And so speaking of self-care, those are like sacred tools that we start to collect. A lot of us either fall into faith as well and go deeper in our faith. A
Mhm.
lot of us even go deeper more into our wellness and because we do have inner resilience, and when we start to utilize these sacred tools, our resilience even starts to become more of a awareness, like and heightened, I guess is
Yeah.
the word I'm trying to look for.
Mhm.
But when the world wants to pull us outward, right, it can be really hard to stay anchored in our own center. So,
Mhm.
what sacred practices or energetic tools that help you return home to yourself when it gets really loud and heavy or disconnected out there in the world?
Yeah, a few things come to mind immediately. One is meditation, like really sitting with myself and calming my mind and kind of letting I like to do it in the morning. I feel like it creates a reset for my day. It's just like all the things can wash away and now I'm ready for the day. Um, but part of that too is like knowing myself. I feel like that's like the theme of my life maybe is like going back to my needs and what do I really want. And as an introvert, right? Like I like to say I'm a friendly or social introvert. Like but I do need the recharging time, right? So I love to spend time with people and get to know them and hang out. And at the same time, like that can be draining on my energy. So, not being apologetic about needing that time for myself, like knowing that I do need the quiet, I need the space. Like, if I've been in like a training for all day and there's like talking all day, there's so much like loudness and clutter in my mind that it's hard for me to like continue. So, I just need a moment to reset and recharge. And so not feeling bad about it because I know myself well enough that, oh, if I don't do that, like other people are going to suffer because I'm not going to be the nicest or the kindest or the most patient person that I can be. So recharging and honoring myself. The other thing that has been coming into back into my life, or I guess me back to going back to is what you mentioned was faith. So really, prayer time is time where I get to talk with God and inviting the Holy Spirit to come into my life and, and like hearing what I need to hear so that I can get guidance for the day, for my life. And just knowing that I don't have to rely on myself has been really helpful. Like I went on this kind of this journey on my faith journey has been, this might be for another podcast, so it's okay. But it has been a homecoming even to that in the last, this year. And so, yeah, that has been another practice of mine that's been very sacred of prayer time, even either alone or with my partner Angus, we'll do it together too. So, and then the last thing that has been helpful is listening to like supportive audios, whether they're podcasts or there's like a few channels on YouTube that they just have inspirational messages or reminders of verses and things like that. So just like filling my space up with encouragement and messages that really uplift and remind me of why I'm here. That kind of thing has been really helpful.
I love that. It's so easy. There are so many people out there, even just solfeggio frequencies or any kind of
Hmm.
tone can really
Yeah.
help. I actually have playing solfeggio frequencies now around my house. I tend to do that just to keep the energy cleansed in here, the vibration on a higher.
Yeah. Love it.
But I love that. And so, and everything that I heard you say, what really landed the most was simply be responsible for your happiness. Be responsible
Mm.
for your love. Like during the self-care, I started learning how to fall in love with myself again because I was learning about myself and what really when I was in those moments of joy and the spots of pure bliss when I felt like that inner child was truly shining and thanking me for remembering her and letting her come out to play.
Mm.
Uh, those are the parts that I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty cool. Like I love myself again and I'm pretty lovable and
Mm.
people love like I have so much love to give and Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that. And I've heard over and over again too, so many people share when they got really leaned into their faith, how that was really the turning point for them to really go to a level of connection that they had never experienced before. So
Mm,
I'm on my journey. I do speak to God. I get to lean in a little more. And today I declare, thanks to this episode, that I will lean in fully
love it.
into my connection with him. So thank you.
Yeah, so good.
Ah, so that's why it's so important to be in community, right? Feeling like
Yes.
you are with your like-minded people, the people that are gonna welcome you with open arms and all the flavors that you are. And your energy truly radiates such really calm strength.
Thank you.
It's beautiful to just who you be in the world. So it's super clear that your relationship with yourself has become the foundation of how you guide others. So how has your own journey home to you influenced the way that you hold space for others to find themselves again?
Great question. I think I'm one of those people that used to wish I was somebody different, right? Like I mentioned that I'm an introvert. So I always, like, for so long, I wish I was louder, more extroverted, like had a big personality, someone that like people can't not notice when they walk into a room. And I think since kind of growing up or being in personal development, it's recognizing that, oh, wow, like you don't have to be loud to lead. You don't have to be boisterous or a certain way in order to make an impact. Like we all have our own unique gifts, and that includes our personality. It includes all our life experiences and like all the trials that we've gone through. And that's what makes us a gift in the world that we can share and inspire other people. And so I think for me, owning who I am and accepting who I am and the things that once I didn't like about myself, right? It's actually what makes us stand out and unique. And this is actually one of the exercises I love to do with our clients when we're trying to help them you know, find love. But really, we're helping them become the woman who is an energetic match to the partner that they want to call in. And in doing that, a lot of times there are parts of us that we're rejecting, right? And so I'll have them write down a list of things, qualities that they once didn't like or maybe currently don't like about themselves. And then how can they turn it into a positive? And so my own list looked like something like this, right? I talked about the introvertedness, but that also came with like, oh, wait, I'm quieter. And but if I'm quieter, I'm also the type that's not into drama. Like I don't like gossip, right? I don't like to rehash and retell stories of people. Because I'm introverted, I think I'm more interested in like the deeper conversations and not the small talk, right? And like I love the soul to soul connection. And so, like, I've heard people really appreciate that and, like, wait, that's not a downfall of me. It's actually a benefit that I can connect with people in such a deep way. So, like, just looking at some of these things that maybe from a societal perspective or maybe from your family perspective, you've always thought that it's a negative thing. How can you actually start to reframe that and shift it so that it's actually one of your superpowers instead of something that, is a burden to you?
Mm, mm. How can you reframe a negative trait that you think is negative, right? And
Mhm.
actually have it be your superpower. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
There's so much like freedom there.
Yeah.
So much freedom there.
And
And
then
I
there's
think
no pressure that you need to be like anyone else, right? Because competition is the thief of joy, like, or comparison is the thief of joy. Like, when we compare ourselves to other people, we can only see our shortcomings or where we haven't like succeeded the way that other people have succeeded. But if we focus on ourselves, if we focus on our own lanes, then we can compare ourselves to how far we've gone, where we might have been a year ago or 6 months ago or 5 years ago, like, oh wow, I really have grown. I've grown a ton. So like patting yourselves on the back. versus like saying, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be like that person, but using that as inspiration to see how far we've come.
Mm. So true. Comparison is a thief of confidence and success.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just, it's great to not ever compare because we're all struggling our own way and in our own journey.
Yeah,
And you don't know how many forums and landmarks and other leadership programs that person had to go through, you know? Maybe it was
exactly.
just
Yes.
one, maybe it was 20, maybe they're a lifetimer.
Yeah.
And what I love too is that what I loved you, I think you said it earlier too about every time you peel a layer, there's a new level, a new
New
like
devil.
yeah, and a new upgrade too. I feel like it's a new
Hmm.
upgrade. And
Yes.
so just reminding yourself that that's what it's life is about. It's about expansion and growth and expansion and growth.
Yes.
Level, each level, each level. And so just live into that and embrace it, right?
Yes.
Embody that and just be like, yes, I'm down. Let's go. Because
Yes.
now it's my superpower. Now I have a superpower. It's not, I love that. I'm like running with that one, man. Thank you.
So good. And also surround yourself, like you said, right, with people, like-minded people who are also thinking that way. They're not only looking at their flaws or what they haven't accomplished, but like so that you can inspire each other to keep going and also to be in the conversation, right,
Mm,
of upliftment and positivity. And because the daily grind can be hard without people by your side supporting you and being your listening ear and guidance as well. So
yeah. And on an energetic level, when you do surround yourself with people who are uplifting, who already are in that space, they're already higher elevation, right? And so
mhm.
it's just keeping you in a high vibration. And the
Yes.
reverse is true when you're constantly surrounding with yourself with people who are complaining about the same story that they've told 1,000 times already, who just fight to be right, and who are never going to see that they're spell casting and co-creating their life, whether
Yeah.
they
Or
like it or
arguing
not.
for their limitations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or having to be right that they're victim and they're, like things
Yeah.
happen to them. And I know because I was there, there are parts of me that still are attached to some parts of that story
Sure.
that I'm still working through. And I think
Yeah.
the more you could just pause and take a breath. And like you shared so much of those sacred tools and the importance of reframing, I think this episode alone had so many great golden nuggets that people can really just go back and I think you could just skim through and wherever God stops you, right? And it's like, okay, that's what I meant to hear for the day. I'm just gonna listen to the minute and see what I'm supposed to hear today. That's actually how I
Um,
do my reels, actually.
I love
So
it.
it's like, what does it collect in me to hear God?
That's
So
good.
yeah. So for the listeners who feel inspired by your story and the way that you really truly embody love and strength, where can they find you and connect with your work in the world?
Yeah, so on Instagram, on Facebook, you can find me through my name, so MayanTran, Mayan Tran. Our website as well, yourepiclove.com. And yeah, those are kind of the main places. And I do want to offer, like, so I think one of the biggest joys that I get to support and create for other people is helping them identify their blind spots, right? Like what we talked about. It's like, okay, there are things that are going well in my life and there's an area that is not going well and I can't figure out why. And if you're doing all the things and you're feeling like you're putting in effort, but yet the results aren't coming, likely there's something in your blind spot that you're not aware of that's running the show. And so that's kind of my specialty, my special sauce is helping uncover what that is. And so I would love to, for anyone who needs support in that, I would love to offer a love breakthrough call where we can dig in and help you uncover, okay, what is that block? What is going on so that we can help you move forward?
Is it okay if I call you? I
Yeah,
want to book a call.
absolutely.
All right, so unfortunately, this call is coming to an end, and we're down to our last question, and it has been a beautiful conversation so far. So heart-led and a lot of truth bombs. So this is a part where we have a final invitation for our listeners, our sisters out there. Anyone listening who still feels lost or disconnected or unsure of who they are beneath all the doing and all the noise and all the masks and all the expectations and roles, everything, right? What would you say to them about the sacred process of coming home to themselves? And would you like them to remember most?
Mm. First thing I would say is be patient and compassionate with yourself. If there is a stirring of something doesn't feel right with what I've created with my life, but I don't know how to figure out or how to break through or what next step to take, I think the first step is to give yourself compassion and honor that awareness. Oh wow, there is something going on and I get to be curious. I get to follow whatever nudges, whatever God is putting before me to follow that and just take one step at a time. I think as you trust yourself to listen to what's going on intuitively, listen to the guidance that whatever your beliefs are, whether it's God or something else, like whatever that is leading you and trusting that, and then taking this step one step at a time, and also being in community, like find people who have created the life, the journey, they've gone through the journey that you have, like Margarita, this community that you've created, like this is so beautiful. Like there are women out there who have broken through, who have changed their lives and recreated in a way that is authentic, in their authentic truth, that reflects who they truly are. So find community, be inspired, and get support around it because your journey is just unfolding and it's going to be even more beautiful than you can imagine.
I'm just gonna let that one land for everybody, because it brought me to tears.
Mm.
Thank you. Truly
Thank you.
blessing to have you here. Um,
Mm.
it's only been like three other times or two other times, but anyway, I'm just so grateful for your words and your heart. And it's true, when you start showing up for yourself, you do ripple forward and impact in so many ways that we don't know. So as we close this unforgettable
Mm.
conversation with the beautiful Mayan Tran, we're reminded of the moment that changes everything. That sacred instant when someone's story really helps you see your own, helps you see you. That moment you realize that there's more meant for you in this life. Man reminded us that our environments and beliefs are powerful mirrors, that every detail around us reflects a subconscious story we've been living, often rooted in a false identity. But you don't need to be someone else to belong. You are enough just as you are. And the invitation is simple yet life changing. Pause and ask yourself, what do I actually want? What is your soul craving that you've been afraid to claim? Because when you reconnect with your true desires, when you stop apologizing for your needs, your voice, and your presence, something miraculous happens. You begin to co create a life that feels like truth. Yes, every new level will reveal a new devil, but every time you peel back another layer, you find new wisdom, deeper strength, and proof that you've survived. After all, you're still here. You didn't die, right? So sit with yourself, breathe, fill your space with messages that lift you. Forgive the parts of you you once rejected and turn them into your superpowers. You don't have to be loud to lead or bold to be powerful. Your quiet confidence, your truth, and your love are your greatest impact. This is your moment to take a stand for yourself, to choose self-care in as radical act of worthiness, to know that your faith will hold you, and to trust that your presence is enough to light the way. So if this conversation sparked something within you, if your heart just cracked open a little more, maybe you felt seen, heard, or simply not alone, please share this, sisters, and subscribe to our channel. Because when you do this, content can really reach more women who need the reminder that she is not alone and that her voice matters and that healing is possible. Remember, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Until next time, sisters, keep shining, keep rising, and keep coming home because you matter and you are enough exactly as you are. I am your host, Margarita Rose, here today with the gorgeous Mayan Tran. I'll see you next week, same time, same Spark channel.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.